The Midnight Academy with Dr. Heather Lynn.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Rabbi. It's a real pleasure to have you on this show. I'm looking so forward to talking to you.
My pleasure, Dr. Heather.
Well, I just want to jump right in. I have so many questions. This is such an interesting and specific realm. It's something that a lot of people have been interested in, this idea of UFOs lately in particular, but also the idea that there is this ancient connection to ufology, that perhaps there's some sort of ancient intervention. You know, it's been made popular, of course, by books from Eric von Daniken to Sitchin to even now with the shows like Ancient Aliens. People are very much taking a second look, I think, at whether or not there's been some sort of alien intervention. And that's something that I think that you and your organization have known about, maybe you could say, for a long time, kind of on the cutting edge of it.
Since December 13, 1973, there was a telepathic contact that led Mr. Claude Raelian, that was his name at the time, to the Puy de la Sola, which is in center of France, an old volcano. That he went there. He used to go there with his family during summertime for picnic. And on December 13, he was driving to his office. Then he felt the desire of going there, stopping his car and going there. And he went all the way up to the volcano, to the center of the volcano down. Of course, an extinguished volcano. And but then he was there, you know, it was a little bit chilly. And he asked himself a question, why do I am here today? You know, it's cold, I have work to do. What did I come here for? Suddenly, he saw something shining in the sky. And there were two beams, one on top, one on the bottom. And the craft was going down. At the beginning, he thought it was an helicopter. Then there was no noise, no engines, whatever. Then he realized it was a spaceship, and it was just coming down. Then a ladder opened, and he saw 2 feet coming down the ladder. Then he freaked out because he said, well, maybe, you know, these people, I don't going to move. Maybe they will think I am a tree or something, and they will leave. And too bad I don't have a camera, because I could have done something wonderful, because he was a sport car magazine. He had a sport car magazine at the time, so he was a journalist. So he could have done a good, you know, something specific and more proofs that what he got. Then he saw a small man. At the beginning, he thought it was a child, about 5 feet, coming down and going directly to him without any weapons. His face was shiny and full of love, so he felt very confident. And this extraterrestrial approached to him about 2-3 meters from him. Then Mr. Raelian at that time asked him a question. Hello, do you come here often? And the extraterrestrial replied, I come here many times. And today I come to meet with you, Mr. Claude Raelian. You're married, you have 2 children, and we telepathically induce you to come here today because we have a message for you. Then, you know, he was like in shock. And the extraterrestrial told him, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I telepathically induced you to buy a Bible from La Pléiade, where the word Elohim was not translated by God. Because the word Elohim, as you probably know, it's what people, Jewish people, it's in their Bible, and they believe as a God. But it's a plural word, which means in ancient Hebrew, those who comes from the skies. Then he invited him into his craft, and he told him the following message. Over 25,000 years ago, we came to your planet, and we created all life on Earth, starting from plants, trees, animals, and then finally, we started creating human beings after 13,000 years. We have been sending you all messengers and prophets from all religions among the most important ones, Moses, Jesus, Buddha, Mohammed, and many others, which are the prophets of Israel that were about 40. And now it's time that, since 1946, 45, sorry, on 46, in the Hiroshima bomb, you could auto-destruct yourself, or you could advance a lot with nuclear power. So we are your fathers from space. We have created you, and we don't want you to auto-destroy yourselves. Now it's time that people stop believing and try to understand. There was no God. They thought we were gods because, they were afraid, and everything that was coming from the skies was a god from them because they were primitives. Now it's time humanity will understand. We're here and we want to come back. And we're going to ask you two things. The first aim is to spread this message worldwide, that people will understand and stop killing each other, because we have created you all equals without any racism. Well, we created 7 races on earth. Then the second thing that we're asking you is to build an embassy, which is for what the Jewish people are waiting for, the third temple, where we will come back with all the prophets of art and bring our scientific heritage, give our scientific heritage to humanity.
Wow.
And all this is in the book, Intelligent Design, that could be downloaded on www.rael.org for free. There are no charges or whatever. It's a free book that can be downloaded. And that book changed my life over 36 years ago.
Wow.
I was a scholar. I was, study a lot in Hebrew, and coming from a very religious family. Sorry. And, practicing Judaism and all that. And I always had questions, but never got answers. And when I read this book, and it exists in all languages, it opened my mind and answered all the questions I had since I was a child. But because when we used to ask questions to our parents, grandparents, relatives, or even rabbis or people at the synagogue, they used to tell us, well, this is what we have been taught, and this is what we should do, and that's all. No questions asked. We do. Because Jewish people have always said, we tell us what to do, and we will do it without understanding. And today, I think it's time that we have technology, we have science, and it's about time we understand and stop killing each other and loving and caring for each other, not what's happening worldwide, either in Russia, in Africa, in the Middle East. It's a pity. It's a lack of consciousness, and it's a lack of, the most important sentence that I think should be kept from all religions is to love your neighbor like your own.
Yeah.
And the 6th commandment of Judaism is not to kill. So what I say, what Israelis are doing to Palestinians or whatever, vice versa, I mean, that's not Judaism. That's an extension of a genocide, what's happening there. And even as a Jew, and even as an Israeli citizen, I am completely against that.
Well, yeah, it sounds like a beautiful idea, peace and love and all of this. But I think something that, as I was looking through the material and sort of looking into the movement, I had a couple questions specifically. One, I'll just say one, the name of it. It's very similar. I don't speak Hebrew, but it's very similar to Israel, as you mentioned. So what does Rael mean? Because didn't the founder, isn't he referred to now as Rael?
The name of Rael is the name that the Elohim gave to Mr. Claude Vorilhon when they met with him. And that name's, first of all, Rael means in Hebrew, he saw Elohim. The second thing is that when you go to ancient civilization like Egypt, Ramses, the Ra was the sun. Sorry. And then Rael is the root of the word Israel.
Mhm.
Because the word Israel comes from Rael. And this
So
is why Elohim, have given him this name, which is very powerful, and especially for Jewish people, because their roots are there. And Rael is the Messiah the Jewish people are waiting for. And this is the last Elohim messenger and the last prophet. And now it's time that people will understand, because if we continue that way, we will auto-destruct ourselves.
absolutely. It seems like we are in those end times that a lot of people have called for. A lot of people in different religious movements and beliefs, they look at the time now as the end. I sort of don't take a position on that either way, only because as a historian, there's been plenty of times in the past where you could easily think it's the end. But I will say the idea of technology, that's something that is unprecedented. At least, I mean, some people could argue that there was this great technology, perhaps in Atlantis or, civilizations past. But as far as we know it right now, this level of technology that we're reaching with things like artificial intelligence, could be unprecedented. So it seems like these times are different than times past, that there's something happening, that we've hit some sort of, critical mass or some sort of turning point, some quickening, if you will. So it is interesting, to say the least. I guess, would you classify this as more of a movement than a religion?
Well, it's more a movement, because the word religion comes from the Greek religare, which means to be connected to. To be connected to, we are connected to the Elohim through telepathic meditation. We try telepathic contact with the Elohim every Sunday, every day. But anyways, we have no contact with them. The only one that have contact with them, and not very often, maybe once a year, is Israel himself, who is their only messenger.
I see. So in the past, there have been groups that have claimed to reach out to these Elohim in particular, through means like meditation. One that stands out that's a little interesting to me in the connection, is theosophy, insofar as that the use of the swastika is present in both theosophy and in Rael. So if you could explain that a little bit for people who aren't familiar with the esoteric roots.
This is the symbol that we have, and it represents infinity in space and time, which means the two triangles are the infinitely small and the infinitely large. And the swastika in the middle is infinity in time. And many people think that swastika was made by Hitler, but long way before the swastika, it's in old Hindu temples in Asia, everywhere, in all temples, and have nothing to do with Nazism. And the symbol of the swastika with the Star of David is the symbol, the Elohim. It's a symbol of the Elohim, which represent infinity, because we are infinity. Before we were born, we were infinity. Now we are infinity. And after our death, we will keep being infinity, because we are part of a whole.
So,
let's explain. We are living in a planet which is called planet Earth. This planet is in a solar system. This solar system is in a galaxy. This galaxy is in the universe. And this universe is an atom of a molecule of something that is alive. It could be a worm, a cat, I don't know, a plant, we don't know, but it's something alive. And inside each of ourselves, it's a universe infinite as well. where we have solar system, galaxies, planet, etc., and where there is life. But of course, it may be the time for us to breathe once is maybe 100 years from them or more. And for us also, the time that we live on Earth, that is between 80 and let's say 100, it's maybe a second for that human or animal or life that we are in, that body. And the thing that people should understand today is that we are all one with everything that composes us and with everything that surrounds us. I mean, making war to kill each other, it's like if we were inside a body and we were shooting the cells of our hand or the cell of our eyes, because we are all one. I mean, we are this huge body that composes humanity.
Mm. So it reminds me a little bit of some different esoteric thoughts over the years, a little like Kabbalah and different things. Is it possible that people back then, they had an understanding of some parts of this without necessarily having had that direct contact? Is that something that prophets have been able to, over time, discover through maybe meditations or different things?
Many prophets were children of this Elohim and woman of the earth, because when you read the Kabbalah or even the Tanakh, which is the original Hebrew Bible, you see that many women that were sterile, couldn't have children. They met with men of the Elohim, with messengers of the Elohim. Then they got pregnant, like Samson, like the prophet Samuel, like the prophet Eli, and many others. And Jesus was the son of one extraterrestrial and woman of the earth. And probably his mother was inseminated artificially. That's why she was a virgin. And when you read the story of the what's happened in Fatima in Portugal, it's exactly the same thing that was repeating every day and every week, and and so on. So we had proofs. Now, the problem with people who are hooked to the religions is that they don't want to give up because they're afraid. What if something happened to me? If I don't do what, we have been taught, what will happen to my children? What will happen to me after death? But people need two crutches. One is religion and one is the soul. And there is no, one is the God and one is the soul. And we have to understand, according to the Elohim messages, there is no God and no soul. We have a genetic code. And there is nothing such as after death, our genetic code goes fly to be in the skies, close to God or something like that. That doesn't exist. That's primitive thinking. Today, we are able to understand many things that our ancestors were not able to, and they took the Elohim as gods.
So if there's no soul, yet we're all one, what does it mean if we're all one? Are we, in a materialist sense, we are all one because we're part of this large body?
We are all one, which means each of us is a cell of this huge body that composes humanity. And after death, well, if the Elohim who have 25,000 years ahead of us of technology, they have a special computer that at the moment you die, because they have everybody that is on planet Earth or other planets that they have created life are registers in their computers. And when we die, the computer makes to see how good you were for humanity, how good you were to save humanity, what do you did in your life, and so and so and so. And then if you are more positive than negative, you can be recreated in the planet of the Eternals, which is called Eden. Because the Elohim have two planets, one where all the Elohim live, and they have created another planet which is the Garden of Eden that we call in all the religions, and in Hebrew is Gan Eden, which means the Garden of DNA.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. And then,
That's
you know, people who have done good for humanity and have been good for others and sharing and caring about others are recreated there after the death to live eternally. Now, let me explain what science and technology the Elohim have reached already. The Elohim can live between 700 and 1,000 years. When their body gets too old, and they are in a body like 18 to 22 years old with no disease during their entire life, which is fantastic. And I wish one day we will reach that technology. And when the body start getting too old, between 700 and 1,000 years, the Elohim have, like, the same today, when we buy a new computer and we download from our old computer all the memory, all the applications or whatever we have in it into the new computer. Now our new computer have all the memory of the old one. So they have reached a technology that today they are able to make a new body with a cell that will live between 700 to 1,000 years, and they can download the memory from the old body into the new one. So this is the only way to reach eternal life.
Well, so that's that explains why cloning is something that the movement is very much in favor and supports.
Absolutely. And this is why we support cloning, because that's the only way to reach eternal life.
And is that how presumably we were created by the Elohim, was through a cloning process?
Well, it was maybe different from the way they created us, because they created us with DNA and other manipulations, and the way they have created lives. It's like, you know, they had artists and technology and science. So what the artists, if we go, for example, to birds or animals, their colors or their sound or whatever, artists have created paintings, maybe, probably, and they have computers that can catch these paintings and reproduce it alive. And the Elohim, probably, they did that because at the beginning they had laboratories of creation of life. And there were 7 laboratories of creation of life with all races. They were in Asia. They were, the pyramids were one of the laboratories of creation of life. Where the Wailing Wall is actually, the Western Wall, it was another one. Where the Mayas were also was a laboratory of creation of life. And all these proofs, we can now see that we have been visited by these extraterrestrials.
So do they come from, well, quite literally, you say they come from the sky, they come from above. Do they use sort of regular aerospace type technology, or is it more interdimensional? Is there like a portal component to this?
First of all, they are on another solar system, but on our same galaxy, according to the messages they give to Rael. The second thing is that they can come anytime, just the time of thinking, because I believe they do teleportation. If we cannot even imagine their technology if they're 25,000 ahead of us.
Oh, that's very true.
We cannot even think what it will be in 100 years from now. What it will be our technology in 100 years from now. So imagining 25,000 years, that's, I mean, we cannot even imagine or think or whatever, you know, it's impossible.
So what do you think of of transhumanism and a lot of people's efforts to look into the idea of longevity as opposed to cloning? You know, this idea that we can merge with machines in order to reach that immortality status. Are they sort of taking a wrong sort of direction to that? Or is that possibly part of a bigger plan?
Well, listen, cloning, governments and religions are afraid of cloning. Why? Because one man, if one doctor or a laboratory or one man creates another one, the mystery of God is over.
Very
Because
true.
there's no more place for God there. So what will happen? Why governments are hiding from people that, there are other planets or life on other planets or extraterrestrials or UFOs? They have been hiding this for years because it will be a revolution if all those who are, they will kill for a religion will understand today that there is no God. And we have been created by another civilization. In one day, we will create someone that will put another planet as well, like the Elohim did with us. Because this
So
is
then,
the of creation of life through universe.
so then, would it be fair to say that we are on track to become gods ourselves, or at least what the primitive
This
people,
is
as you
what
call them, would be gods?
exactly.
I
And
see.
that's why governments and religions are hiding it, and they don't want any cloning because it will destroy the myth of God.
That's a good point, because there has been an ethos of taboo around cloning. I mean, I remember when Dolly the sheep was in the news many years ago, people just were bowled over. They, thought this was highly unethical and immoral. And, and there were a lot of discussions about that too, but not a lot of attention on those implications, like you said. But I mean, it seems quite logical that that would pose a threat if there was no need for a traditional sort of procreation anymore, that it would just be cloning, because then who decides who gets cloned and who's worthy of coming back and who's not? And that creates a whole issue probably at that point. But yeah, so with regards to then,
we are manipulated by governments and by religion since ages, since the beginning maybe of the creation, or after, when we started all religions and power and all that, because the governments they don't want us to know the truth. Otherwise, because we can live together without making any wars, and we don't need any leaders, and they don't want that. If we
so
care and share and live like human beings, loving each other, we don't need any more weapons. We don't need any more borders. We will live like human beings. And today, when someone, well, we are human beings. I'm sorry, I don't see any humans on this planet. Some people, yes, they are, but the majority, I don't know. They're for wars, making weapons, money today, and credit. What is credit today? Credit cards and buying a house and all that. What is that? It's that slavery, that you will have to work and pay income tax on every penny you make to survive, to make a living. But at the time of our grandparents, those who had a car or those who had a house, they have paid for it. There were no credits. Today, most of the people who have houses, cars, credit cards, name it, it's all on credit.
yeah,
Tomorrow, it's a collapse from the economy, or there is a failure in the market or whatever. Everybody will lose everything.
this is true. Do you think that this, you may have heard of the Great Reset and some of these ideas about going towards, say, digital currencies or, massive surveillance states and this sort of thing? Do you think whatever that is that's powering that, whatever, if it's just simple greed or whatnot, do you think that Raelianism is an anecdote to that? Is the answer to that? It is
Indeed, because we are for love, we are for peace, we are for unity, we are against all kind of racism. We are for love for humanity and people today. That's the only way for us to survive today. We cannot continue like that, because we're going to blow up the planet. Every hour they make hundreds of bombs. For what? For what? And when you see, oh, the death of the world death is so many billions and so, to who we owe this money? To the planet Earth, to planet Earth, to the sun, to the moon? What is that story? It's all, it's all gimmick to make us in the system that we will keep working to provide money for those who are leading. That's all. We're just puppets. And the government, the leaders of the government today are the puppets of a system of a mafia, a big mafia, which own all the banks that give money to the government. And if they don't, if the governments don't do what they want, these people, they will not give them a penny. They own all the medias, they own the pharmaceutical industry, and they own the weapon industry. So they create conflicts that people will kill each other and they will make money on everyone.
If there's no soul, are there spirits?
No, according to the messages of the Elohim, there are no spirits and no God and no soul.
So what is the view on the concept of evil? So those people who are against things like love and peace and who actually want war and genocide and all of these terrible things, what is the why? Like, what is the explanation for why there's such evil?
Well, there is no devil. The one that is called Satan is the chief of the opposition on the planet of the Elohim.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes Satan is saying, wow, at the beginning, they destroy everything when there was the flood because we were their creation. And they say, well, these people, we have missed our creation because we couldn't do it properly. So it's too bad. Let's destroy this creation and start a new one. And this is what happened during the flood. And when you take images of the flood, and it's written in the original Hebrew Bible, in the Tanakh, it is written clearly, the ark went above earth, not on the floor, on the water. It was above earth. So what happened there? There is no ship, there is no vessel today that could hold a couple of each and every animal we have on planet Earth. Not even the biggest and the largest one. So what happened then? The Elohim brought a UFO. They took samples, one cell of each animal. They put it in a small box like that. And they took Noah above Earth with all these cells. And when they come back after the flood, they recreated all lives on Earth, all animals, all plants, everything.
So is that things like cattle mutilation? I know that's had an association with UFOs for quite some time. In that phenomenon, it looks to be that there are samples taken from those animals. There's other animals that have been implicated in this sort of thing, but cattle are probably the most popular. But we do see a pattern of what looks to be samples as opposed to just mutilation for the sake of mutilation, hunting, eating, this sort of thing. And there have been some contactees that claim that they have had similar procedures done on them that you could take as having samples. Is it possible that they still visit and they are still extracting DNA?
Well, listen, we have to understand that we are in an infinite universe. And in this infinite universe, there are thousands of galaxies, thousands of solar systems, thousands of planets where there is life. There are a variety, an immense variety of extraterrestrials lives out there. So maybe from their planet or from other planets, which doesn't mean the Elohim do that because they created us. So they don't need to take our DNA to know how they made us, because they are the ones that made us, that created us. But probably other extraterrestrial civilization could come to Earth and do experiments with people, but it's not It's not what we are looking for now, and it's not the message that was given to humanity in the book Intelligent Design. And we have it also in all the books. And mostly, you know, coming from a religious family and religious background, when I saw the book Intelligent Design, which was called at the beginning, the book which tells the truth, I didn't want to read it because what? You're going to tell the truth to a Jewish fellow that have been studying and knows about Bible and knows about God and then we discover when I read the messages of the Elohim in this book Intelligent Design, what I did is that, you know, I took the original Bible in Hebrew. I took a dictionary because at that time I was reading Hebrew, but not understanding what I was reading. I didn't know Hebrew to translate. So I took a dictionary, I took the Bible in French and English and Hebrew, and I took the original Bible and find out without any doubt that the messages the Elohim had given to Rael are confirming the original Hebrew Bible. So now when I give my lectures, there is no doubt and there is no way someone can prove the opposite. And sometimes I invite rabbis for, 36 years that I am lecturing worldwide. And I have been living in Israel 18 years where I built up the Israeli Raelian movement. And there is no doubt. And the rabbis avoid me. And they don't come to my lectures. And they boycott my lectures because the problem they have is that they cannot prove the opposite of all the citations that I bring that confirm that these Elohim are an extraterrestrial civilization. And this, I bring it in this book. Well, we don't see it here, which is the original Hebrew Bible.
Wow. So it looks like they just don't want to confront a different framework of their understanding. So they'd maybe prefer to have, like many people, they kind of grow up with one particular idea. Say, for instance, angels. The notion of angels can take many different shapes. And, we might be very familiar with an angel being sort of a female with wings and very beautiful and all of this. But then if somebody were to say, challenge that and say, well, these messengers, they didn't look like that, or they didn't behave this way. Perhaps they were extraterrestrial. That's just a conversation stopper right there. I know that's been in my experience too. When you challenge those ideas, that people don't want to re-examine their own beliefs, but because it's threatening. So, well, with that said too, bringing up angels, what it would be the Raelian view of things like angels. So if there's no demons, or if there's references to demons and this sort of thing, in the Bible, what are those? Are those just other entities that are interfering, that are not spiritual, but just
angels from Latin, or angelos, means messenger. And Elohim in Hebrew, malach, which means angel, is a messenger. So these people send us messengers. All the prophets that they have sent to the people of Israel, and they were over 40, they were all either jailed or killed because they were bringing the same message that disturbed the establishment.
So why do you think currently nobody is attacking? Well, I would say nobody. I think the media is what's attacking, and maybe the public opinion is what attacks your movement. But Rael's still alive, I understand, right?
I know he's alive and he's well, and he's in Japan. I just met with him. We had our 58th anniversary convention since December 13 that we have met the first time with the Elohim. And, the medias, why the medias are always attacking? Because this all come from the Vatican. First of all, as you know, if you read the prophecies of Malachi, and this is what all the popes, every time they elect a pope, they read them. And this is the actual Pope should be the last one.
That's Malachi Martin is who you're referencing? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and this I think is the 112 popes, and after that it will be the end of the popes, which means it will be the end of the Vatican, and it will be the end of the Vatican. It will be the end of the Catholic Church. And if it's the end of the Catholic Church, it will be the end of Catholicism, and it's written, and they know it. When the Messiah will come, he will destroy all religions. And the first one that will be destroyed is the Catholic Church. So, because when Jesus never came here to create another religion, he was a Jew that brought the same message Rael is bringing today. And he was killed.
Because it's threatening to the mainstream narrative for sure, just like cloning and all of these things. Yeah,
absolutely.
So if Rael, so that would imply then Rael is the Messiah. I have heard of some people referring to him as Maitreya. So that was something I found interesting as well, because there are a lot of people currently who believe that the Maitreya, well, there's the like a mainstream, we'll call it, belief about who Maitreya is and how that comes out of, an Eastern religion. But there's also an alternative view of Maitreya, and that happens to be, looked at by people as sometimes they refer to it as an antichrist and this sort of figure, in that framework.
Well, they could believe it's an antichrist because he's the one that will destroy the Catholic Church.
And so that brings me back to the
reason. That's the only reason. But Maitreya means the Buddha of the Occident, which means in France. And the reason also, if you go further, because I have been studying all this and lecturing on all this, why Hitler wanted to kill all Jews from Central Europe? Because he knew at that time the Messiah will be born. And this is why he was in probably in Tibet, and sent his people to Tibet, some Nazis to Tibet, to take the swastika and to have it hated by the Jewish people, because this is part of the symbol. The symbol of the Elohim is the symbol that is the original Hebrew symbol. And you can find it in Israel in many places. The swastikas are everywhere in Israel, even in the synagogue where Jesus was teaching. And I have seen it there.
Yeah, it is a very ancient
synagogues as well. And then it was when you read history and you see and you understand, going backward, that Hitler met with the Pope P12 at the time that they were killing the Jews. Well, the Pope was completely agree with that, because otherwise, somehow, if Hitler would have killed all the Jews in Central Europe, his only goal was to kill the Messiah that was supposed to be born at that time. And knowing that, the Catholic Church was agree with that they will kill, because if the Messiah will be born, he will destroy the Catholic Church. And that's 1 + 1 + 1. It makes,
Wow. No, I hadn't heard that kind of view of it before, but it is peculiar how Hitler had such an interest in what he referred to as Arianism, this idea, and he would send people to the East. He was very much interested in the symbology of things like the swastika, and he was very much interested in root races and some of the things that you can find in theosophy as well. So how is it that he even knew this? I know he had an occult background and that some people, influenced him that way, but how would Hitler have kind of known that this was the time and that was his mission, was to kill? Was he in contact with something?
When he was in Tibet, he knew also many things that they were taught to him over there. And he was also in the group of Thule, which was the
Oh, yeah.
Kabbalah group.
It was, I didn't realize that the Thule Society was Kabbalistic.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
they had a lot of knowledge on
yeah.
Kabbalistic, on science, on
Mhm.
technology, and even they were willing to make like spacecrafts to travel to space.
Yes. Yeah, that's very interesting connections then. Do you think that they were in contact with maybe not the Elohim, but do you think they were able to channel any of these other entities or any other
Maybe they
entity that
were
may
in
have
contact.
knowledge?
Maybe they were. That's my own personal opinion, which is
Mhm.
not confirmed in the messages. But maybe he was in touch with the Satan, who is the chief of the opposition, because the chief of the opposition see the people today on planet Earth willing just to kill each other and greed and just for nothing, to rob, to take what doesn't belong to them. And he always was against this creation of life on earth that the Elohim made. And this is probably, maybe either him or someone else was in contact with Hitler. It's possible, which is, I don't confirm that, but everything could be possible. And then that he will destroy humanity, or that he will create some other people. I don't know. Because when we see what history brought, and when you see that after that, the people of Israel, the Jewish people went to the Israel and took the land back. I mean, something happened there. And why happened after 2,000 years? Because the Elohim have turned their face on the people, on the Jewish people, after they killed their messengers, their message, Jesus. Jesus was the son of an extraterrestrial and a woman of the earth, Mary.
Mm.
And that was like, I mean, too many people say, oh, how come God allow Hitler to kill so many Jews? Because the Elohim didn't care at a certain time that when they send a messenger with a message, you kill their messenger. And that was, one too many of them that were killed. And now, as Catholic people and Christian people know that Jesus say, I will pray my Father, and he will send you a paraclete. And the paraclete is Rael.
So how does this sort of involve if Rael is the Messiah? Where do we go from here in terms of this battle of say Armageddon? I know Armageddon, a lot of people think it has to do with an end of the world, but it is a revelation, as in the book of Revelation. So all of these things are about having the truth revealed. But where does it go from there? Is it to be that these Elohim will actually come back, or are they not going to be able to come back? Is it up to us to rebuild the temple? Is it up to us to build that, location for them? And if we don't, do we fail? Do they not come back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They want us to understand. They can come anytime, They could come anytime, but they're not invaders. They want people to understand that we have been created by them, that they are our fathers from space. They have always been watching after us. And they love us. I mean, they don't want to come back and being shot by missiles or attack, because they can defend themselves. They can blow up the whole planet if they want. 25,000 years ahead of us. I mean, they don't need any of our technology to defend themselves. And what we need to understand now is that, first of all, the Elohim messengers never have been recognized. Either they were jailed, all the prophets, or killed. Now it's time to understand this message and recognize Israel as the Elohim last messenger, who is the Messiah, and not only for the Jewish people. He is a Messiah that will save humanity. And the message of the Elohim is that we all care and share and love each other, and not stop killing each other and loving each other. This is the message of the Elohim. It's just pure love.
Well, that you can't argue with that message. That's a very important message, and I think we all need a lot of that now, especially. Do you think that our speculation, but do you think our government has? Do you think they're aware of this? And do you think they've had contact with any of these entities, whether it be the Elohim themselves, or if it's been these Satan type entities or any other extraterrestrial race of beings? Do you think that they have access to technologies and things that we're not aware of? We see a lot of things coming out now with UAP footage and this. Are these just signs in the sky, or are these actual interferences?
Well, listen, governments are aware of that. Now, they don't want to reveal that because it's not to their interest, but they will not be able to avoid it because there are more and more signs in the skies, more and more people opening their mind, more and more people meditating for peace, more and more people that are aware of UFOs, extraterrestrial, and people are today asking themselves questions. And at a certain point, they will not be able to hide it. And this Armageddon it will not be the end of the world. It's the end of a world, which means the end of our way of living. It's a new era now. And apocalypse, which comes from the word apocalypsis, means revelation, doesn't mean destruction. And when we will have this revelation, which is in the message the Elohim have given to Rael, the mystery of God will be over. That's all.
So are they to come back then? If we have free will, so are we supposed to exercise that free will and ask for them to come back?
They don't want to come back as invaders. They want to come back as guests. And this is why we want to build an embassy, which is a third temple, that they will come back in a space that have extraterrestriality status, which means, like all embassies, if a Russian embassy, for example, in United States, in Washington, D.C., Americans cannot go in, or the American army cannot go in. It's not their territory anymore. There is an extraterritoriality status which protect the embassy like if it was in their own country. And this is why the Elohim want. They don't want to have people from the army or the police or architects to come and see what's inside. They're not interested. They want us to understand, they don't want us to believe. They want us to understand. And it's time that we will understand. Otherwise, we will auto-destruct ourselves. And the Elohim will never come back. They're giving us a gift by giving us the message, intelligent design that they gave to Rael.
So you mentioned love. You mentioned meditation a few times. This is something that takes the place of prayer. So our idea of prayer in particular religions is one thing, but meditation is used in place of prayer. But what is the power of meditation? I know some people think of it as just a way to relax or, de-stress, but other people think of it as a way to communicate or have some sort of channel opened up. What is the role of meditation in this idea of reaching out to extraterrestrials or receiving messages?
Meditation, it's a way to be in harmony with ourselves. And if we are in harmony with ourselves, we will be in harmony with everything surrounding us, with other people as well. This is why meditation is so powerful and so good for human beings, because we connect all our cells with our body. Some people are not even aware that their cells can connect with each other. And the way of meditating is like putting all our cells in harmony and making them aware we are thinking about them, and being aware that all these cells are those who compose our bodies. And what we do since a couple of years now, it's meditation for peace. every 59 minutes of every hour, we stop and meditate for peace, to send waves of love and energy to the entire humanity and to all lives on earth, trees, animal, plants, because everybody is part of us and we are part of the whole. And next Saturday, I organize, and with the Raelian movement organize, and I guide that, meditations, planetary meditation for peace, global meditation for peace.
Well, it's definitely needed.
At 9 a.m. Eastern Coast time, we have every 2 months, we have global meditations for peace. And I will send you the link in case you want to share it with your auditors, that they are welcome to attend. You know, it's free for everyone. And the more we are, the more waves of energy we send, and the more love we send to humanity, we can change this hate that there is among all human beings that are killing each other.
That's a worthy cause, and I think we should all kind of get on board with that. I mean, peace and love are definitely key to this. One thing too, you mentioned that we're all part of something, and if not in a spiritual way, but in an actual materialist way, that we're almost like we're cells in one large body of something. So when we meditate and try to get in touch with the individual cells within us, would it be fair to speculate that the point of the meditations and the calming and the peace, and why we should have love and harmony between entities on our planet and elsewhere, is for the same reason, that this larger entity, it's sort of like life itself is a meditation of this larger entity, and in order for this larger entity to have peace and love and experience, it needs to get us all under control as well, or get us in touch or experience through that. I had Bernard Heisch on recently to discuss. He's an astrophysicist. He wrote a book called Miracle of Our Universe, and he sort of had this idea of the universe, or in his view, God, was trying to have an experience through us. And I'm paraphrasing greatly, but this notion that if there's this greater being, even in just this materialist sense, is this a way that we can get in touch with that greater being, which is then arguably ourselves? Like when we quiet our mind and get ourselves internally, sort of that self-awareness, and then we're calm and peaceful, does that reverberate out at this larger level? Is that the point? Or maybe I'm just grasping for straws here, but I'm curious about that concept.
Hey, there is no such a great human being or being that that people think it's God. There is the infinite, which is not aware of itself. Infinity, it's not aware of itself. And we are part of this infinity. So we are part of a whole. And when we meditate for ourselves, we meditate to send love to the entire humanity, to all plants, trees, birds, animals, etc., etc. And then we send our love to the entire universe. And the entire universe, and in Hebrew is very simple, because infinity means Ein Sof, which means there is no end. If there is no end, there is no beginning. So life was always there, in different forms, of course. But we are part of this life that, it creates by itself, it communicates by itself. And our way today is to make people aware of it. Because if we are aware of it, we will stop all wars and all borders and all poverty on earth, all racism. I mean, how can it be that some people have billions and some other 25,000 people are starving, dying from starvation, and people have so many houses. In how many houses can you live? How many cars can you drive? What are you going to do with that money? You're not going to live 1,000 years because you're a billionaire. You're going to live like everybody else. You're going to die anyways. So as well, do well and care and share with other people.
Yeah, very, very much so. And from the Raelian perspective, this is probably a not an easy direct answer to this, but why is there suffering at all? Like, why do humans suffer?
Because we have been, the Elohim let us evolve that we could understand that, but by ourselves. But until now, we didn't understood it. We didn't understood until now. And if we continue like that, I mean, we will auto-destruct ourselves, because to reach a planetary level and being able to communicate with other extraterrestrial civilization, we need to be peaceful. We need to be in harmony. We don't need any weapons. What building? Listen, some governments are sending billions or to Africa or to other countries to save children. And on the other way, they make weapons to kill the same children. So
yes,
there is nonsense somewhere. And this nonsense is just manipulated by money, power and money. That's all. If today you remove all religions, all the money, the problem is solved. Because the cause of all the problems are the different religions and the money. That's all.
It does seem to be that way, but it also, it's a human construct. Religion, could arguably be something that humans created. Obviously, the money system, something humans created. Corporations, everything, extrapolated from the mind of a human. So at some level, is there an internal battle that each of us has between sort of what would casually be called good and evil, or this sort of thing? Like, how is it that, if we were to remove those superstructures, how are we to know that we would all just live in peace?
As human beings, we will. The ones that are leading us, they don't want us to reach that level of harmony. They don't want us to reach that we will reach that level of peace or inner peace or love between each human being. They're not interested. But anyways, the more people will be aware, the more they will meditate, the more they will find out by themselves that we don't need anyone to lead us. Because ants, they don't have a leader. They have a queen. The queen just make egg. They just make eggs, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't lead them. Everyone does his work, and everyone cares about the others. And everybody brings food for the whole community, for all the ants, not for herself. And this is why ants, is it possible that ants will be more conscious and develop their supra-consciousness more than human beings? I mean, we are to that point today. Either we make it or we break it.
It's like we have a choice between being part
Absolutely.
of the greater thing or trying to pull away from it and be individualistic. And at that price,
I think we should end that. But now, is everybody willing to end that? Are we ready to end that? That's another story. This is why the end of the monetary system should be done as soon as possible. That everybody will have, with the resources we have in our planet, everybody can eat and everybody can have a roof. When you take the budget, the military budget for the United States Army or the Russian Army or the Chinese Army, forget about that. With that money, we can feed the entire humanity without working. So if we don't need to work to earn money, to pay for food or to pay for a house, we don't need to. We don't need money.
Yeah.
We don't need money. If we have everything for everyone, I mean, When you see the budget, the millions of the budget they have for the army, wow. How many people can you feed with that?
It's absurd. You hear about all of this money going out for all of these different wars, and think of all the good that could be done, all of the hospitals that could be built, and all of the education that could be administered, and there's so many things that it feels like such a waste, and it's tragic. So with your message of love and peace and unity, it's you're actually the organization is really involved in that, not just in a ideological sense, but in a practical sense on the ground. The work that you've done in with the female genital mutilation, and in that regard, has just been it's astounding. The cause and the charity, so to speak, that the Raelians have had is just phenomenal. When I learned about the pleasure hospitals and things that were built, and the differences that you've made in the lives of those women, it was amazing, and it really was about more than talking the talk, but actually walking the walk too. And so, bravo to you and your organization for that work that you're doing around the world, and to make people's lives better, and just giving back the what was given to them. Their birthright is to be able to feel and to be in touch with that side of themselves, and so
to care for each other,
to care.
Important to care someone that is our own, part of ourselves, is our equal. We're living on a planet Earth, and we're destroying it without having another one where to go. Why are we doing that?
Well, some people are trying to find a new place for us to go.
Are we so stupid to kill each other and to ruin the planet and to cut trees and to destroy it to make money? There is no nonsense somewhere. There is a nonsense, and this nonsense is terrible. We need to develop our consciousness, and more than that, our supraconsciousness. And there is no way, and shouldn't be like that men should rule over women. Because why men have been putting always women down? Because they know women have more sense than men. They have more intuition. They are more pacifist. And if we were ruled by women, the world would change.
Well, I think there would be a lot of changes if we listened to our hearts and tried to think in a maybe more revolutionary way. I think it is a fine balance, though, because so many people, it's so hard to stop a train, for instance. So if we have this train moving full force with the economic systems that we have in place, to just stop it, it seems so impossible. And I don't know, in order to achieve those things, even if it's a good thing, it seems like the use of force may have to happen, and that has been proven in the past to be a really bad way as well. So is this just a mission of patience? Is this something that through the meditation and outreach and this sort of thing that we can hope to do?
It's a mission of love. And that's the only way. We have no other choice. If there is no love, we will auto-destruct ourselves.
I couldn't agree more. Well, a lot to think of. I know that in some ways the movement has had a bit of controversy here and there, and I think a lot of that comes from a misunderstanding of what it actually is. And some people disagree with fear. For sure. Fear, it breaks paradigms
from governments, because it's a revolutionary system that we are bringing in.
It is. So, but from what I've heard today, it's fascinating. It's in line with a lot of different things that have come about, both in previous organized religions, philosophies, and then even contemporary writers and scientists. And it just seems to be a very interesting direction. And at the end of the day, if what you're pushing for and espousing is love, then I wish you I wish you great luck in that. And I couldn't agree more with that cause. And I'm very grateful that you're able to come on today and share that very important message with us today, especially given the state of global affairs and all of the need for peace. And so I will put up links to everything and anything that I can to get people, to take a look at what it is that your message has to offer, and we'll go from there. But I'd love to have you back on the show sometime. I think we just scratched the surface. There's just so many more questions I have too, about Sitchin and Anunnaki. I don't think we really got into that much, but I think this is an open dialogue. And so if you're open to coming back to share information with my audience, I would really love to have you.
Please let me know, and I will be more than pleased to be on your show.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Rabbi. You're just a wealth of information, and it's very exciting. I think we're living in exciting times, and now I'm really curious. I'm definitely going to fully read the book Intelligent Design. So thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on.
If you don't mind, I will send you all the time, world time that, of this global meditation for peace that we will have next Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Coast. I will send it to you, and you have all the worldwide clock where we meditate, because people are coming from all over the world, and they connect to meditate for peace, which is one of the most important things today, to send peace and love and fraternity to humanity.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to doing that. Anything I can do to add to the peace and the love and to meditate on that is something I'm very much open to and excited to do. And I would encourage other people as well to meditate and meditate on love and peace. We're living in a very very difficult time. There's not a lot of peace at the moment, and I think that's very empowering to think that there could possibly be something that we can do on an individual level to connect to each other and to help bring about the peace that we so desperately need. So thank you so much, Rabbi. I appreciate it.
And what's important is to develop our consciousness and our supra-consciousness to care and share and love each other, because that's a key to save humanity.